Hello everyone. Have you ever wondered why some people seem unstoppable? Why their names echo in rooms they haven't even entered yet? It's not luck, it's not talent alone. It's the quiet work they do when the world isn't watching. The secret lies in their mornings, in their solitude, in their unshakable will. The world worships results, but ignores the grind. It celebrates success, but forgets sacrifice. Behind every achievement is someone who chose to rise early when it was cold and quiet, someone who rose alone without applause, without validation, someone who rose relentless, refusing to quit, refusing to settle, and refusing to be average. This isn't about being better than others. It's about being better than who you were yesterday. It's about showing up when there's no crowd, no lights, and no reward. That's where champions are built in the shadows. You see, there's something sacred about the early hours. The silence becomes your canvas. The struggle becomes your fuel. The doubts, they're still asleep, but you're not. You're already building, already moving, already winning. Rising early isn't just about time. It's a mindset. It says, I'm not waiting on motivation. I move with purpose. Rising alone isn't loneliness, it's leadership. It says, I don't need a crowd to validate my grind, and rising relentless. That's the difference between those who dream and those who do. That's how legacies are born. In a world that waits for permission, you must rise with intention. In a world that craves comfort, you must choose challenge. You were not made to blend in. You were made to rise and rise differently. In this journey, we'll explore 4 unshakable truths. Rise early, beat the world before it wakes, rise alone. Walk the path few dare to take, rise relentless. Never settle, never stop. Rise different, build a life they can't ignore. Each part holds a key to unlocking your next level. Each part is a call to action. So if you're tired of waiting, tired of doubting, and tired of shrinking to fit spaces that can't hold your greatness, this is for you. You don't need a crowd to believe in you. You just need a reason to rise. And today you found it. Let's begin. There's something almost magical about the early morning hours. It's not just about the time on the clock. It's about who you become when the world is still asleep, when the city hasn't stirred, when notifications are silent, distractions are few, and it's just you, your ambition, and your discipline. Winners rise before the world because they understand one truth. The earlier you start, the more ground you cover before anyone else even opens their eyes. While others are tangled in sheets and excuses, you're already gaining momentum, building habits, and preparing to dominate your day. Let's be honest, rising early isn't easy. Your bed is warm, your mind craves 5 more minutes, your body argues for rest. But champions aren't made by comfort, they're made by decision. And one of the most defining decisions you can make each day is to get up before the world does and own the quiet hours most ignore. Why? Because those hours are yours. No chaos, no pressure, no noise, just clarity, just intention, just progress. In the early hours, the playing field is wide open. While the rest of the world scrambles to catch up with the day, you've already set the tone. Your goals are mapped. Your mindset is sharp. You've trained your body, fed your mind, and aligned your soul. And by the time others are scrolling aimlessly or running late, you're already in motion. Successful people don't just rise early, they rise with purpose. It's not about waking up at 5 a.m. just to brag. It's about using that time intentionally. Some read, some train, some meditate, some write down their goals or plan their execution, but they all have one thing in common. They understand that the morning is the most powerful weapon in their arsenal, because in the morning, before the noise hits, you can hear yourself clearly. You can connect with your dreams without interruption. You can build discipline like bricks, day after day, until you've built a mindset that can't be broken. Think about the greats, athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, artists. Do you think they wait for the sun to rise before they do? No, they rise because their vision keeps them awake. Their hunger drags them out of bed. Their mission doesn't sleep, so neither can they. You might say, I'm not a morning person, and maybe that's true for now, but being a morning person isn't about biology. It's about priorities. It's about deciding that your goals matter more than your comfort. It's about proving to yourself every single morning that you're in control of your day, not the other way around. And it's not just mental. Rising early gives you real-world advantages. You beat traffic. You control your calendar instead of letting it control you. You start ahead, which means you stay ahead. And when things go wrong, as they always do, you've got the buffer to adapt, to adjust, to keep moving without panic. Rising early builds confidence. Every morning you win that battle with your alarm. You're stacking proof that you're disciplined, proof that you're committed, Proof that you're not the same as everyone else. Because let's be clear, you're not. Most people wait for motivation to find them. But people who rise early, they don't wait. They create momentum. They set the pace. They live by design, not default. And here's the truth. Those early hours, they become sacred. The world doesn't know what you're building in that silence. They don't see the reps, the writing, the reading, the journaling, the meditation, the strategy, but they'll feel it soon. In your results, in your energy, in the way you move different. The sunrise isn't just a new day, it's a new opportunity, a blank page, a fresh start. And every single day you get to choose, rise and lead, or sleep and follow. So if you're serious about changing your life, start by changing your morning. Wake up before the excuses do. Wake up before the world starts pulling at you. Wake up before the distractions flood in. And in that space grow. In that space lead. In that space rise. Rise early, not just to be awake, but to be ahead. Not just to move, but to move with purpose. Not just to be seen, but to become unstoppable. Because while the world waits for perfect timing, you're already writing your future before the world even knows it started. There's a reason the path to greatness is often described as lonely, because it is. Not everyone will understand your vision. Not everyone will understand your vision. Not everyone will clap for your growth. Not everyone will stay when you start rising. And that's okay. You're not meant to take everyone with you. The moment you decide to chase something bigger, bolder, and different, you begin separating yourself from the crowd, not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. Growth demands solitude. Transformation demands isolation. Sometimes to find your voice, you have to walk in silence. It's easy to move with the crowd. It's easy to follow trends, mimic others, and live a life built on validation. But rising alone requires courage. It means walking when no one walks with you. It means trusting your vision, even when it hasn't yet produced results. It means working when no one notices, and believing when no one believes. And here's the truth, many won't tell you, the climb is loneliest at the beginning. When you're building something out of nothing, whether it's a dream, a mindset, a business, a body, or a legacy, it feels like you're shouting into a void. You wake up early, you sacrifice comfort, you miss out on trends, on gossip, on temporary pleasure, and for what? Results that aren't showing up fast enough. But that's exactly why most people never rise, because they can't handle the silence. They crave applause before they've earned the stage. But not you. You're not rising for claps. You're rising for change. You see, rising alone isn't a punishment. It's preparation. In the solitude, you sharpen your tools. You face your insecurities. You build self-discipline. You learn how to lead yourself, so that one day you can lead others. You learn how to keep going, not because someone told you to, but because your purpose wouldn't let you quit. In the quiet seasons, you develop the habits that others overlook. While they're chasing quick wins, you're mastering patience. While they seek crowds, you're building character. While they need constant company, you're becoming your own source of fire. The most powerful people on earth were forged in seasons of aloneness. Think about the greats, the athletes training long before the cameras show up, the entrepreneurs building through failure, the artists creating with no guarantee of fame. They didn't wait for the world to cheer. They moved forward anyway. And that's the real power of rising alone. You learn how to believe without evidence. You learn how to move without permission. You learn how to shine even when no one's watching. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's hard. But it's also necessary. Because the truth is, not everyone can go where you're going. Some people are attached to your past, not your potential. Some friends were meant for a season, not your lifetime. And the more you grow, the clearer this becomes. But don't let that break you. Let it build you. The pain of outgrowing people, habits, and environments is real, but so is the pride of knowing you stayed true to your vision. So is the power that comes from proving to yourself that you're willing to walk alone rather than shrink to fit in. Understand this: being alone and being lonely are not the same. Being alone is a strategy. It's a season of construction. It's the quiet before the storm. It's the moment when foundations are laid, strong, deep, and unshakable. And later, when the spotlight finally finds you, when the results show, when the world starts to notice, they'll call it talent. They'll say you were lucky. They'll say you came out of nowhere. But you'll know the truth. You didn't come out of nowhere. You came out of the shadows. You came from early mornings, silent nights, unanswered messages, ignored calls, and a fire inside that refused to die. You came from the grind they didn't see, the tears they didn't hear, the sacrifices they'll never understand. So rise alone, walk the path few dare to take, and remember, you're not behind. You're just ahead of your time, because those who rise alone eventually rise above. You've heard the phrase, hard work beats talent, when talent doesn't work hard. But the truth goes deeper than that. Relentlessness beats everything. Not talent, not connections, not even timing. In a world full of people who start strong and fade fast, the ones who keep showing up, day after day, failure after failure, are the ones who rise. To rise relentless means you refuse to quit when it gets hard. You refuse to stop when it gets boring. You refuse to settle when others around you are slowing down. You don't need permission. You don't need conditions to be perfect. You grind when it's raining, when it's dark, when you're tired, when no one claps, when it's thankless, because you didn't start this for applause. You started this because something inside you said, "This is who I'm meant to be." And that fire, that's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you unstoppable. Most people are motivated by mood. They move when they feel like it. They chase dreams until it gets uncomfortable. They're fueled by hype, not hunger. But being relentless isn't about emotion. It's about decision. It's waking up tired and still doing the reps. It's failing publicly and still standing back up. It's hearing no 100 times and still chasing yes, because you don't rise relentless by accident. You rise relentless by choice. You tell yourself, "I will not stop. I will not fold. I will not shrink. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not ever." Relentless people aren't the loudest in the room. They're the ones too busy working to speak. They're the ones still going when others tap out. They're the ones who feel fear and keep going anyway, who face rejection and still believe in themselves, who get knocked down but refuse to stay down. Here's the truth. You don't rise to greatness in perfect conditions. You rise through pressure, through setbacks, through grind, and it's in those low moments, when your back is against the wall, that your real character shows. Being relentless means you understand that results take time, but effort must be constant. It means you don't let failure define you. You let it refine you. You study it. You learn from it. You let it sharpen you like a blade, because every time you keep going, you're proving something to the world, to your haters, but most importantly, to yourself. You don't settle for average. You don't lower your standards because others are comfortable. You don't stop at good enough because that's not what you're here for. You didn't come this far to be regular. You didn't grind this hard to be ignored. You came to leave a legacy, to make noise, to build something that can't be denied. And yes, being relentless is exhausting. You will get tired. You will feel discouraged. You will question yourself. But being relentless doesn't mean you never feel weak. It means you never let weakness win. You may cry, but you won't quit. You may fall, but you'll rise again. You may doubt, but you won't stop, because you know what's on the line. You know the life you're building. You know the version of yourself you're chasing, and you know that no one's coming to do it for you. So you push, you climb, you keep rising, even when it's slow, even when it's lonely, even when it's lonely, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. That's what separates the relentless from the rest, not the outcome, but the attitude, the unshakable, unbreakable mindset that says, "I'll keep going until I succeed, until I break through, until I become everything I said I would be." And guess what? When people finally see your success, they'll call you lucky. But luck had nothing to do with it. They weren't there in the trenches. They didn't see the late nights, the early mornings, the failures, the fear, the heartbreak. They didn't see what it took, but you did. You lived it. You survived it. You rose through it. So keep going. Keep fighting. Keep building. Don't stop for setbacks. Don't stop for silence. Don't stop for anyone. Rise relentless. Not once, not twice, but until you make the impossible real. Because in a world that quits too soon, your persistence is your power. You weren't born to blend in. You weren't created to live a copy and paste life. Deep down, you've always felt it, that pull, that whisper, that fire. The world told you to fit in, but your soul, it keeps telling you to stand up. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. To rise different means choosing a path that doesn't look like everyone else's. It means building something real while others chase trends. It means living loud with purpose while most live quiet with regret. It's not about being flashy. It's about being true. It's about walking with such certainty in your identity, your craft, and your calling that the world has no choice but to notice. The truth, most people don't want different. Different is risky. Different is uncomfortable. Different demands bravery. It's far easier to follow the crowd, to follow the formula, to follow the footsteps of people who never even lived their full truth. But you weren't made for comfort. You were made for impact. The world is full of noise. Everyone's trying to go viral, be seen, be liked. But real legacy, it's not built on likes. It's built on consistency, creativity, and courage. When you rise different, you rise from a place of depth. You rise with substance. While others chase fast fame, you build lasting significance. And yes, being different will cost you. People will misunderstand you. They'll mock what they can't label. They'll question what doesn't make sense to their small vision. But don't shrink. Don't water down your dreams to make them comfortable. Make them uncomfortable. Make them uncomfortable. Make them rethink. Make them and wake up, because one day the very same people who doubted your journey will want to know your secret. They'll call you brave, they'll call you bold, they'll call you gifted, but you'll know you were just different, and you didn't apologize for it. To rise different means you stop. Phew. But they stop asking for permission. You stop explaining your fire. You stop playing small to make others feel secure. Instead, you take up space. You speak with power. You live on purpose, and your life becomes a message. This is what happens when you choose to live fully. Different doesn't mean reckless. It means fearless. It means building your own definition of success. It means saying no to the blueprint and yes to your own vision. It means being okay with being the first, the only, the outlier, because every movement, every revolution, every breakthrough started with someone who dared to think, live, and rise differently. Think about every icon, every innovator, every leader who changed the game. They were rejected, they were laughed at, they were told to be realistic, but instead of folding, they kept going. They didn't follow trends, they set them. They didn't repeat history, they rewrote it. You don't rise different by accident, you rise different by choice. It's a decision to live fully alive in a world that settles for numb. It's a decision to bring your full, unfiltered self to the table, even when it's uncomfortable. It's a decision to stop mimicking and start creating, because here's the thing, being different is your superpower, your story, your scars, your voice, your mind. Nobody else has that. Nobody else can do what you're here to do in the way only you can. That uniqueness, that's not something to hide, that's your calling card. When you rise different, you stop trying to fit in and start building a life that fits you, a life that makes you proud, a life that echoes long after you're gone. And one day when people look at your life, they won't see someone who followed the rules. They'll see someone who broke them with purpose. They'll see someone who created instead of copied, who led instead of followed, who stood out, not for attention, but for intention. So rise different, build what hasn't been built, speak what hasn't been said, walk where no one else has dared to go, because the world doesn't need another copy. It needs your truth, your voice, your vision. Be the fire in a world full of smoke. Be the original in a world full of echoes. Be the difference they never saw coming, but can't forget, because when you rise different, you don't just live, you leave a mark. You've walked through the fire, you've felt the silence, you've battled the doubt, but through it all, you kept rising, not because it was easy, not because someone gave you a map, but because something deep inside you whispered, you were made for more, and you listened. You rose early, not just to wake up, but to rise above. You rose alone, not because no one cared, but because you refused to wait for company on the road to greatness. You rose relentless, because quitting was never in your DNA, and you rose different, because your mission was never to fit in, it was to stand out. Now look in the mirror. You're not the same. You're stronger, sharper, focused, hungry. The world may not understand your journey yet, but they will, because while others are busy sleeping, following, quitting and conforming, you're building, you're becoming, you're breaking limits they didn't even know existed. This is your rise. This is your season. This is your moment. So don't just rise. Rise louder, rise prouder, rise unshakable, and never ever stop, because the most dangerous thing in this world is someone who chooses to rise before the world is ready. And now, you're ready. Funk.